His mid-year information series. Tonight, we'll discuss the benefits of studying our Master of Education, Primary Teaching. I'm Dr. John Weldon, and I'm Head of Curriculum in our first year college. And with me live tonight from VU's very own TV studio, we have Mark Vickers. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, John.
Mark has worked for over 24 years in education in several countries, with 15 of those being in higher education. Mark has extensive international experience of teaching and learning in Australia, Asia, and the UK. Also with us tonight, we have Despina Petroni. Welcome, Despina.
Hi, John.
Over the last 10 years, Despina has been working at The Good Guys as a business retail trainer, and more recently in the field of learning and development coordination for internal employees. But she's always wanted to pursue a career in primary teaching, and now she finds herself studying the Masters of Education Primary Teaching here at VU. So once again, welcome both of you. It's great to have you here. Mark, I'm going to start with you. There's a boom in primary education at the moment, isn't there?
Yes, there is. Yes. The recent research by ASA has indicated that the population of school students by 2020 is expected to increase to 26%. And that means that we will need about 1,761 extra primary classes will have to be created, which means in Victoria, on average, 449 new primary classes are going to require teachers. So it's very much a kind of a growth area.
So it's the prime time to be studying your Masters of Education in Primary Teaching?
Very much so, yeah, very much so.
Despina, so you've always wanted to be a primary teacher.
Yes, I have.
What brought you to VU to study here?
Well, John, I did my undergraduate at VU and had a great experience with it. I knew that I wanted to do a face-to-face course. VU was one that offered that. So I decided to enroll and got accepted. And the fact that they also run it on a part-time basis suited me in terms of my family circumstances, having kids and working around that.
So being able to study part-time allows you to balance work, your home life and study?
Correct, yeah. Whilst also allowing for placements and being quite, able to work around family and study. And in terms of placements, it really appealed to me.
Placements play a huge part in this degree, don't they, Mark?
Yes, they do.
There's a real focus on the practicum, on getting our students in classrooms, putting into practice what they learn here.
Yeah, very much so. The Master of Teaching Primary course has 60 plus days in placement throughout the kind of the 2-year program. And the first semester is characterized by getting the students into classrooms, allowing them to have an experience of what a primary classroom looks like, what it feels like, and then being able to kind of unpack some of those questions back at the university. And it really does show it towards the end of the first semester that there is a real good understanding emerging about what the job of being a primary teacher is and what it involves.
Despina, tell us, what was your first practical experience like in the classroom?
Yeah, it was great. So your first semester, you're out at the school for 15 days. And given that teaching is a collaborative, career, it really allows you to develop rapport with the schools, with the teacher that is your mentor. And it just gives you a great insight into what you're going to be doing at the end of the course. So my experience, my first placement was amazing. The good thing with the Masters is that you're at the same school for the whole year, so you gain a great rapport with not only just the teachers but the school community. So I think that's a real positive from the course's perspective.
And how important is it for you as a student studying education to be out in the classroom early on in your degree, putting things into practice, finding out how you are in the classroom?
I can't, say how valuable it is, because it's invaluable, really. And the fact that you can come back to classes and talk to your lecturers about what you've experienced in class, it's a really great learning curve. There's a lot of self-development and self-reflection that you do as well. What type of teacher you want to be, what type of schools you want to be at, how you manage student behaviours in classroom. It's invaluable what you get from placements.
So, Mark, how do the placements work throughout the year? So, in the first semester, they're out there for 15 days.
Yep.
Is it 15 days every month or so, or how do the placements work?
There are 4 placement units throughout the course, and so you will have a placement in semester 1. You would then have a placement in semester 2, a placement in semester 3, and the final placement in semester 4. So we ensure that the learning which is happening at university is always contextualized with what the students are experiencing in schools. And as they go into schools, there is an expectation that the responsibility in the teaching will increase. So we start off where students can observe, take small groups, and then towards the end of the course, they have a 5-week block placement where they have full control. So the students are supported throughout each of the placement experience to take more responsibility, to grow in confidence and develop their skill set.
Where are you on that placement spectrum at the moment?
So I've just completed my first placement. So I was at the observation, taking a few lessons on board stage. So it's been challenging, but a really good experience.
And do you feel supported in that by what you've studied so far as you walk into the classroom?
Definitely. I'm supported by the school itself, by the lecturers of the course. Yeah, I definitely feel supported.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So talking about the course, Mark, it's focused on primary education.
Yep.
Are we looking at kids from 5 to 11, or what sort of children are we looking at, and what do we look at in terms of them?
The course has a range of different units. So students come in and they study how to teach literacy. They have to teach maths, arts, PE, science. In the core units of kind of literacy, we certainly cover the development from birth up to year 6 and kind of year 7. And that focuses on how oral language is learned, how children learn to read, how children learn to write. And there is a connection between the different units in terms of developmental theory and understanding the learning and the teaching process. So we cover the whole spectrum, starting with very early childhood and then moving up towards upper primary.
I didn't know that, but I guess it is important to understand where the children come from before they get to primary school.
Very much so, yes. And I think one of the strengths of the VU course is that we cover a developmental perspective. We also cover a social and cultural perspective. So understanding that children come into schools with different histories, with different experiences, and then how to accommodate those experiences into the classroom and deliver the curriculum and differentiate the curriculum so it's relevant and engaging. And the ultimate goal is for teachers to be effective practitioners in the classroom. And I think that's one of the strengths of the VU course, in that we focus very much on notions of practice and understanding what makes a great teacher and helping students to develop.
Yeah, and definitely allowing you to understand and figure out what type of teacher you want to be when you're out there, when you finish the course. The great thing about the VU course as well is that all the lecturers are quite knowledgeable. They're very open to having a conversation with you. So you're not afraid to go ask questions or, am I on the right track with this sort of thinking, or, what type of, if I was to ask Mark, what type of teacher do you think I am? It's nice to get that perspective from your lecturers as well.
Yeah, I guess that's really important, because a really huge part of being a teacher is being able to reflect on yourself as a person, as a teacher, and as a practitioner.
Yeah, and the assessments I've found throughout this course and what I've done so far with all the units, there is a lot of that self-reflection, what type of teacher do you want to be. Also, you get to do group assessments, so it forces you to work with people, because teaching is, like I said, a collaborative, career. You do have to work with a lot of different personalities, and I think it's a great thing that it forces you to do that.
Great. So one question that's just occurred to me, Mark, for those who aren't sure, why a master's and not a Bachelor of Education? What's the difference between the two, and who does which?
Okay, well, a Bachelor of Education is for students who are maybe leaving school and doing their first degree. A Master's, all our students will have already studied a degree, a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science, and the Master's qualification then enables them to use that first degree, but come in and do a graduate qualification in education. So people who maybe are like Despina, who considered a career change, who have already studied, want to go in a different direction, students who are finishing their undergraduate programs, have decided that teaching is something that I would like to pursue, are able to come and do a Master of Teaching in Education.
So if you did a Bachelor of Arts, say 5 years ago, or
Yeah.
6, 7, 8 years ago, it's not too late if you've decided you want to be a teacher?
Not at all, not at all, you know. And many of our students come back to study, having graduated 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and pick up study and do the Master of Education as a route into becoming a primary school teacher.
Okay, you've come back to study after a number of years later, a number of years since you finished your undergraduate degree. What are your cohort like? What are your classmates like? Are many of them mature age students too?
They are actually. I was quite surprised. So there's a mixture, but you generally find that a lot of them have either studied, 5, 6 years ago, and are coming back because for, whatever reason, decided to take on teaching as a career. So I don't feel out of place in the course. I don't feel left out. I think there's a great cohort of students in the master's degree.
Great. And what in the master's degree in terms of subjects do you actually study, Mark?
Students have an exposure to a wide range of subjects. So there's literacy, there's numeracy, there's art and design, there's humanities, there's PE, there's health, there's curriculum inquiry, there's research in practice. So we cover a very broad range of subjects, everything that is needed and required to be an effective practitioner in a primary kind of context. The course is designed so that graduates come out fully equipped to teach across the curriculum, and also the opportunity to develop expertise in a particular curriculum domain, be it literacy, science, or maths. I think that's one of the key features of our program, is that students have the opportunity to undertake a research project in an area of their own interests.
And how do VU graduates fare in the marketplace once they've graduated?
Very well. Recent figures indicate that 68% of graduates from VU are employed within 6 months. And from my experience of teaching at VU for the last few years, we've had students go into schools, drawing their placements, and schools have indicated that they will be offering these students jobs, because they were highly impressed with the quality of the work and the caliber of the students being in the classroom. So some students end up with jobs from their placement practicum schools, which is great.
Fantastic. So Despina, if you had to recommend this course to somebody who's thinking about going back to be a teacher, what would you say to them?
I'd definitely say that one, the fact that there's a lot of days of placement, I think that's one of the things that's really important when it comes to studying teaching. Secondly, it does work around lifestyle. So the timetables, there's classes that you can take up that will suit anybody's lifestyle, whether you want to study full-time or part-time. And also, I can't highly recommend the lecturers of the course. I've had some great teachers and gained really good rapport with them, to the point where I'd keep in touch after I graduated as well.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's a lovely note to end on.
Yeah.
So thank you, Despina. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in tonight to our primary education live Facebook session. Mid-year applications for this course for the Master of Teaching close on the 15th of July. So for more information on that, or to book a face-to-face consultation or a live chat session with our friendly staff, hit the link which will be pinned to our comment section on Facebook. Coming up next at 7 p.m. we'll be discussing VU's Master of Education Secondary Teaching.